welcome back, and welcome to the 5th official episode of the Barca Global Podcast. And there's a lot I want to talk about today, and a lot of it revolves around the recent news that Nico Williams has extended his contract at Athletic Bilbao. He's not joining Barcelona this summer. And basically, in this video, I want to talk about where does Barcelona go from here? Because Nico Williams has rejected them for the second summer in a row. What are they going to do? Who are they going to sign in that position? Because that is a position they need to reinforce, and I think they made that very clear. And so where do they go from here? With Nico Williams, someone that I think they were putting a lot of eggs in their basket to sign this summer, what are they going to do in response to this news? So I just want to talk about all of that today. And I'll talk about the actual process of Nico Williams not signing for Barcelona. Because I remember waking up, I think it was Friday morning, and seeing the news that he stayed at Bilbao. He renewed his contract, and he's no longer joining Barcelona. I was completely shocked. I don't want to be too confident. I'm always still a little bit skeptical of a signing until the official announcement takes place. But this was one that we thought was wrapped up, that Barcelona were just waiting for financial fair play and for basically the new fiscal year to start so that they can renew him. So we thought everything was in order. There were going to be no surprises. Nothing bad was going to happen. And then he renews at Bilbao. I think he signed a 10-year contract extension. So I think he's at the club for the next 10 years. He still does have a release clause of around 100 million is what I read. So it's still possible that he would leave the club. But after this, just take nothing for granted. Do not even think about signing Nico Williams, because if he's just going to continue to do this, to basically play with Barcelona and then not be able to sign for them, don't put any interest in this player. Really, that's how I see it. Because I think Nico Williams is a fantastic player. I think he would fit him so well at Barcelona, especially in that left wing position when you don't really have someone of his profile to take people on and to create chances to make things happen. I thought it was all settled, and it just wasn't to be. So a lot of people are also asking questions about Barcelona's board, like where did they go wrong? How did they bottle this signing? Because this was all sealed. This was all set and done. Like we thought for sure Nico Williams was joining the club, but then this news came out and we don't know what went wrong. The thing is, I haven't really been able to look too much into this story. I was traveling for the 4th of July, but we don't really know what went wrong here, because Nico Williams was set to join the club. And really the only thing that people were saying that Barca was waiting on was for this new fiscal year to begin so then they could register him. And here's my initial thought, just a guess, is that Nico Williams was going to join the club. The club said, hey, just wait until this moment here and then we'll be able to register you. And then maybe he got a little bit skeptical, or he was a little bit concerned with Barca's finances, with maybe just being able to comply with La Liga's rules. And he didn't know if they would be able to register him. And so he said, look, if you can't do this, I'm going to renew at Bilbao. And Bilbao, I think, came back and said, we are going to give you a crazy contract. We're going to give you a salary raise. We want you to stay at the club. And they even put a release clause in his contract just so he would have that ability to leave the club at some point in the future if he wanted to. So that's, in my opinion, what happened. I don't know for certain because we don't know these things that happen behind the club or, behind the curtain. We don't really know what goes on behind the scenes. But that's my guess, because I just don't know what went wrong, because he wanted to join the club. I don't think there's any doubt there that he was potentially planning on leaving Bilbao this summer, and then it wasn't to be. So I think Laporta, you've got to ask questions about Deco and himself, because if you have a player that really wants to join the club, and then financially you can't get over that gap, you can't make that signing happen, I mean, that's Deco's job, is to bring these players in. So I am a little bit concerned about that, just the overall process. I was so shocked by it. I know a lot of Barca fans were really confused and are just upset with Nico Williams, but it's just not to be. I'm pretty bummed out about it, because I really did want to see him playing for Barcelona next season, but it wasn't to be. That doesn't mean that things are terrible for Barcelona. They still have such a great squad. I mean, there's so many exciting things happening around Barcelona, but you just felt like Nico Williams was going to be a great fit for that project. But we move on. We still have to find someone in that position, so I also want to talk about the players in that spot. And I think another thing is Barcelona were honestly planning on signing him this summer. I think they kind of had it in their mind that he was already sealed as a signing. And so maybe that's another reason why Ansu Fati left the club, because he felt like, oh, you're bringing in Nico Williams in my position. I got no playing time last year, so I'm going to get even less if you sign Nico Williams. So I'm going to have to go leave. I'm going to have to join Monaco to get playing time. And so I honestly think if Nico Williams had not joined the club, then maybe Ansu Fati might have stayed. But I think just because he thought for sure that he was being signed, then Ansu Fati wanted to leave, because I just feel like there still is a gap in that position, and maybe Ansu Fati could have played there. I know a lot of people are just a little bit worried about his overall quality, and I just think he needed somewhere else to gain confidence and gain match fitness at. But I think that's a spot that Barca still need to look at this summer. And I think the player that I believe is most likely to join the club now would be Marcus Rashford, because he seems on the outs at Manchester United. They gave the number 10 to Matheus Cunha, their new signing. So they don't plan on having Marcus Rashford at the club this season. And I think it's pretty clear that Rashford doesn't really want to be at the club because there's just so much. There's a pretty negative relationship there, I think, in my opinion. And so he's potentially planning on leaving the club this summer. I think he's not going to be playing at the club. So where does that leave him? I think Barcelona, they can't look at this signing. And I'm going to be honest, I mean, Nico Williams would have fit in better at Barcelona, but that's not to say Rashford wouldn't fit in very well and have some strengths that could really help Barcelona and Hansi Flick next season. Because I think as a runner, Marcus Rashford is very exciting. I think he can run in behind, he can score, he can finish. I'm not going to say he's very, 1v1 taking people on and creating chances, but I think in terms of his end product, he can do very well there. And I think from what he's been posting, he's been working very hard this summer. I think it's pretty obvious that he would want to join the club. And I think I see him pretty similar to like a player like Rafinha, in my opinion, which maybe some people would disagree with. But I just feel like it's more of his end product, his running in behind, and his movement that could really make the difference for him. I also think he's very direct, so that could help Barcelona. But it's a profile that I think Barcelona should definitely look into. And especially if it's on a loan or maybe a low buy option, I mean, why not at that point? Because you need someone in that position. And I think there are some other players like Luis Diaz, Rafa Leao. I might talk a little bit more about them, but I just feel like Marcus Rashford is the most ideal player to join the club this summer, because I think it's also the most realistic. Because if you couldn't sign Nico Williams and you couldn't really make that signing happen, I don't know if it was the transfer fee, if it was the salary demands, but I just think Marcus Rashford, with everything that we've been hearing, he would be willing to accept a pretty low wage to play for Barcelona, and I don't think we'd have any worries in registering him or paying a transfer fee, especially if it's on loan. So I think that's the most realistic option for Barcelona, and I would honestly be excited to see that happen. Now, I know compared to basically everyone, you just wanted to see Nico Williams join the club, but that's not to say that Marcus Rashford and his qualities and what he offers wouldn't be a great thing for Barcelona. Now, as I said, I think you would still be missing a little bit of creativity if you were to sign Marcus Rashford. Again, not taking anything away from him, but I just don't feel like he's that type of player. He's not Nico Williams. They're just different types of players. And so you would still be missing that profile on the left that can take people on, that can dribble, that can make things happen. And again, I'm not trying to discredit Rafinha or Marcus Rashford or really any other player in Barcelona's squad. I just think there is a gap there. And I feel like obviously someone that would be very similar to Nico Williams would be Rafa Leao in terms of taking people on and just breaking past players and creating a ton of chances on the left-hand side. That would be someone similar, but I just don't think that Barcelona would be able to sign him in the summer. I think with AC Milan, I think they would be asking for around 100 million. I would think even 70 million would be like the cheapest that I think you could get Rafa Leao. So I just don't think Barcelona, with the issues of trying to register Nico Williams, would be able to make that signing happen. And maybe it wasn't, registration issues. Maybe it was just Nico Williams not wanting to join the club. He had a change of heart. He wanted to stay at Bilbao. Maybe that could play a part. But I really do believe that it was Barcelona's board just really not being able to give him guarantees. And that's the reason he didn't join the club. And I think a lot of Barca fans are making a good point that it's like, I respect Dani Olmo so much more for his willingness to join Barcelona without any guarantees. I know there was such a huge debate and controversy between him even being registered this summer, or last summer. So there's a lot of that going on. Like behind the scenes, you just don't really know what Barca have to do to comply with La Liga's rules. And I think it's just difficult. I think it makes the league worse what La Liga is doing, but maybe the president, Javier Tebas, maybe he believes for the long-term future of La Liga, this would be better. I don't know. I don't see it right now, but maybe it will be in the future. We don't really know. But right now, it's difficult for Barcelona to make these signings happen, which I think they have the money to do, but they just can't get it over the line. And I think that was the case this summer with Nico Williams. So someone like Rafa Leao, someone like even Luis Diaz, who he's also reported for around like 80 million, I just don't think they would be able to make that signing happen. I can't really see that being able to happen if they're not able to register Nico Williams, which I think was the problem, why he didn't join the club this summer. So a lot of question marks, a lot of stuff behind the scenes that we don't really know about. But yeah, someone like Rafa Leao, even Luis Diaz, I just don't think that they would be able to make those signings happen. And so I think it will be Marcus Rashford. And if the club does sign Joan Garcia and Marcus Rashford, and then maybe like a backup right back, left back, I think that would be a decent transfer window. Obviously, I think compared to everything now because of the rejection from Nico Williams, some Barca fans are just not going to feel 100% satisfied about this transfer window, but I still think that would be good. I do think they needed to make a few more signings just to give Hansi Flick a competitive squad going into next season. And Barcelona have also basically announced the signing of Rooney Bargi. I'm not even going to be 100% certain because I think Fabrizio, correct me if I'm wrong, I think Fabrizio did confirm and say, here we go, to Nico Williams. So I don't know what's going on. I'm really confused about it. Like, if anyone in the comments would like to talk more about it, I would love to know more. Because from what I know, just again, I was traveling, so I haven't been able to read like in depth with everything that this signing happened. But I just think that it was all lined up. It was all sealed. And then maybe Barca just waited too long because of all the financial fair play issues. And then he got a little bit hesitant. And then Bilbao came back to him with an offer, and he said, yeah, I'll just stay one more year, especially if I have a release clause. But yeah, I don't know how Barca fans feel. I'm just saying I'm a little bit, like, I'm just not really happy with how this process went because he did it for the second summer in a row. So I don't think Barcelona should try and sign him next season or the season after that. I think it just should, like, I'm not going to say, like, completely no, like, no chance because you disrespected the club. And I know a lot of people bring up that quote from Johan Cruyff saying, you know, if you have second thoughts about playing for Barcelona, we don't want you anyways. We don't need you. I understand that completely, and that's how I feel right now about Nico Williams, but you never know in the future. It's not like I want to say, like, absolutely no chance he should never play for Barcelona again, but it is tough to see a rejection twice when you just felt like this signing was going to happen. And really, though, I mean, if someone doesn't want to play for Barcelona in this current moment, the exciting project that they have, that's completely fine. Like, I'm not going to be, like, super sad or bummed about this. I did want to see him play for Barcelona, but I'm not going to say, like, oh, Barcelona, they just don't have pull or anything like that. Like, a lot of players want to join Barca. The project that they have is so exciting right now. Think of all the young players that they have. I mean, Lamine Yamal, Pedri, Gavi, Alejandro Balde, Cubarsí, Marc Bernal coming back from injury. They have so many exciting young players. They have such a great base to build around, and they just need a few more signings in the next couple of years. And I think Nico Williams would have been a fantastic signing, but it's not the end of the world. Like, you can sign other players in that position, and I think Barcelona will do that this summer. But yeah, I think that's all I have to talk about today. I know there are going to be some more signings, like Rooney Bargi, I'm sure we're going to hear more about, and I hope that signing can just be official because I want to see him join the club, especially for $2.5 million. I think that's great business from Barcelona. Joan Garcia is already confirmed. I do think they're going to try and sign a left winger and then also a backup right back and left back. So I believe that's the transfer plan this summer, and I think Nico Williams was a big part of that, but it's not to be. And you move on from that. You move past, you say, yeah, that's terrible. Maybe financially we could have done a little bit better, and Deco and Laporta should have done better to just get this signing over the line, but it didn't happen. They still have a lot of work to do this summer just to make their team as good as possible going into next year. So I'm so excited about this. We have not seen Barcelona play for a while, and I just cannot wait for the first game, even for preseason. It's so exciting, and the team, they have so much talent around them, so I'm just not worried about another player not joining. If they don't want to join, that's fine. Barca squad is so good. I'm so excited to watch them play. So a lot of positive news to come, I think. And I still think there's going to be some activity, some motion in the transfer window, and I'm excited to see all of that. So as always, I hope you had a great holiday if you all celebrated. Visca Barca, as always. I will see you all later, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. Peace.